Welcome to this explainer from Forge College. Today we're diving into pattern trade-offs and architectural decision-making. This sits right inside our Patterns for Scalable Smart Contract Architecture module, which is part of the broader Advanced Solidity projects track. So if you recall our last lesson on memory management and gas debugging, where we were basically just fixing leaky pipes, well, today we're stepping back to design the entire plumbing system. Think of it like drawing out a master patent on this beige paper in front of us. Bad architectural decisions, they're literally the #1 reason protocols drain user funds and gas fees. If we're going to build at scale, we absolutely have to understand our structural choices before writing a single line of code.
Here's our master blueprint for today's session. We'll be hitting 6 key areas. First, the architecture dilemma. Second, storage versus memory costs. Third, buffering your state rights. Fourth, proxies and delegation. Fifth, the decision matrix. And finally, number 6, choosing your blueprint. We're covering the whole shebang, from micro-optimizations all the way up to macro-level structural choices. Let's jump right in.
Okay, part 1, the architecture dilemma, from micro to macro. Let's kick things off by addressing a structural pain point that honestly should be super fresh on your mind from our recent gas debugging session.
So, why does my loop cost a fortune, right? We've all been there. You already know how to micro-optimize. You've debugged those functions where copying a giant array into memory gave you completely different gas curves than just iterating in place. We've all stared blankly at Etherscan, maybe even shed a real tear over a failed out-of-gas loop transaction that cost way too much. But the big question we're tackling today is, how do you design a scalable, multi-contract system so it doesn't bleed gas from the get-go? Because honestly, if you pick the wrong overarching pattern, no amount of loop tinkering, bit shifting, or unchecked math is going to save your users from sky-high fees. Your foundational architecture dictates your baseline costs. That's exactly what we're here to fix.
Moving on to part 2, storage versus memory costs, the gas footprint. Let's zoom in on the concrete differences between reading from permanent storage versus copying data into temporary memory.
Think of direct storage as carving data into a heavy, permanent stone ledger. It uses SLOAD and SD store operations, and man, is it expensive to carve stone on the Ethereum blockchain. Every single chisel strike costs you base gas. On the flip side, memory copies are kind of like doing fast math on temporary orange scrap paper. It's incredibly cheap per read. You can scribble and erase on that paper all day long. But here's the catch. Finding and preparing a large enough piece of scrap paper in the Ethereum virtual machine comes with a high one-time allocation cost. You have to pay for the paper before you can write on it. And the more data you have, the bigger the paper you need, making that upfront fee pretty steep.
Let's look at the number 1,000 to really see why scale matters so much here. For a small array, maybe 10 or 20 items, copying your stone ledger to that temporary scrap paper is wonderfully cheap. A total no-brainer. But scale that up to 1,000 items? Wow, the massive one-time allocation cost of creating a giant piece of scrap paper completely outweighs the savings you get from those cheaper memory reads. At 1,000 items, you might actually be better off just gritting your teeth and reading straight from the heavy stone ledger. It's wild, but the context of your scale fundamentally shifts which path is the cheapest.
Which brings us right to part 3, buffering your state rights, batching for efficiency. Let's look at a structural blueprint to solve these repeated storage costs.
So this is the buffered state right, and it perfectly illustrates the concept of batching. Imagine carrying groceries from your car to the house. Instead of carrying them one bag at a time, which, by the way, is exactly what you're doing when you repeatedly write to storage inside a loop, you load them all onto a cart. Step 1, you read the initial state into memory. Step 2, you compute all your new balances or complex logic at once in that cheap memory space. And step 3, you bring it all inside in one single efficient trip. That final trip is your single state write to storage. Why is this so much cheaper? Because writing to a storage slot just once, especially changing a non-zero value to another non-zero value, avoids the massive penalties of doing multiple, independent, unbatched write operations. It's a real game changer.
But, and this is a big but, you must keep an eye on memory expansion. Building an unnecessarily giant grocery cart comes with its own computational cost. You see, in the EVM, memory isn't priced linearly forever. It relies on a quadratic memory expansion cost. This means that once your memory gets too large, the gas cost doesn't just scale smoothly, it skyrockets exponentially, literally through the roof. If you're buffering an enormous data set, the gas required to allocate that temporary memory buffer might just eat up all the savings you gain from reducing your storage writes. So you're essentially walking a tightrope between minimizing storage and avoiding explosive memory costs.
All right, on to part 4, proxies and delegation, the upgradable blueprint. As you start building larger systems, you are naturally going to run into this next architectural pattern.
Proxies rely heavily on a mechanism called the delegate call. Think of this like having interchangeable toolheads operating on a single base machine. The proxy contract itself, that's your base machine. It holds all the permanent storage. But it borrows the logic, the toolhead, from another contract. And what's absolutely brilliant here is how the context is perfectly preserved. Variables like message.sender and message.value remain exactly as they were when interacting with the base machine, even though a completely different contract's logic is executing under the hood. If you need to upgrade your logic, you just swap the toolhead, but your core storage, your user balances, and your context, they all remain perfectly intact.
Now, let's be real for a second. Developers absolutely love to overcomplicate things with proxies because, honestly, they sound incredibly advanced and make us look super smart. But remember, it's always a trade-off. You are trading a lower deployment footprint for a slightly higher gas cost on every single call just because of that delegate call indirection. Plus, you're introducing some very strict, highly complex storage layout rules. If you're not careful, you'll run headfirst into a storage collision. That's where your shiny new toolhead accidentally overwrites old data and permanently breaks your contract. It's a classic war story in Web3 development. Trust me, don't use a proxy unless you are fully prepared for the layout headaches.
Let's move to part 5, the decision matrix, mapping the trade-offs. Okay, let's take all these distinct ideas and synthesize them into a single, cohesive engineering logic table.
This matrix right here is your primary heuristic tool for deciding how to shift costs between deployment time and runtime. Let's walk through it deliberately. Direct storage, that's great for small states with infrequent updates. So if you're doing simple, occasional accounting, stick to direct storage to keep things lightweight. Buffered memory is your go-to for predictable batch updates, where you can compute heavily off-chain or in temporary memory before finalizing. And proxies? Well, they are the right choice when massive clone deployments are simply non-negotiable. Like, if you're deploying 10,000 minimal proxy clones for user wallets, the proxy pattern is your absolute best friend. Why? Because deploying the full logic 10,000 times would literally bankrupt you.
When we chart out the simulated gas costs for various array lengths, you can visually spot the exact break-even point for your assumptions. Just look at the data. At 10 or 100 items, the buffer undeniably saves you gas. It's a clear winner. But hit 1,000 items, and that quadratic memory allocation cost we talked about spikes so violently high that direct storage suddenly becomes the viable option all over again. You simply cannot guess this stuff, folks. You have to measure the break-even point for your specific use case because the scale of the data dictates the absolute cheapest path.
And finally, part 6, choosing your blueprint, actionable heuristics. So with all this in mind, how do we actually finalize our architectural choices before pouring the digital concrete?
The absolute crucial point here is asking yourself the right questions before you commit. Are your state updates incredibly rare? Okay, stick to direct storage and keep it simple. Can you naturally batch a user's workflow into a single cohesive action? Great, build a memory buffer and save those SS to yours. Do you absolutely unequivocally need to upgrade this contract later, or are you maybe just trying to look clever? If you truly need it, map out your proxy patterns. And above all else, I cannot stress this enough. Always measure that break-even point in your test environments.
As the quote goes, pattern selection is an engineering trade-off rather than a checklist item. A master architect knows that every single decision shifts the cost profile. You are constantly balancing per-call gas execution against cumulative long-term state growth. You aren't just ticking boxes to satisfy a checklist, you are literally balancing the underlying physics of the blockchain. In Web3, inefficient code taxes your users in real money. Every extra drop of gas is funds extracted directly from the pockets of the everyday people using your protocol. That's a huge responsibility.
As you prepare for your upcoming dynamic proxy work in the next module, I want you to challenge your designs with this exact question. Are you truly optimizing or just introducing unnecessary structural complexity?
Don't use a proxy just to look clever, and for sure don't buffer if the state is too large. Make calculated, informed choices. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer from Forge College. Be sure to check out our website at forge.college to dive deeper into the subject and explore more guided quests. I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. If you had to deploy your current project to mainnet today, how much of your users' gas are you wasting on architecture that looks super clever on paper, but actually just bleeds money? Think about it. I'll see you in the next one.